All right, welcome to the situation update for Monday, December 20th, 2021. December 20th. Oh, Christmas is coming up. Oh, I am so excited. That's great. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mike Adams, and this is going to be one heck of a week. Oh, buckle up. Now, I've got some I think maybe hilarious or perhaps slightly pathetic personal notes to share with you here up front. But first, the personal news. This is so funny because I really had a great weekend. I spent a lot of it prepping, and I was trying to determine what are the gaps in my own prepping, and like where am I really lacking equipment or skills. And so one of the things I did, I went out and bought a couple of record players, vinyl record players. And like, what do you need a record player for? Well, they're low tech. They work. I mean, records don't vanish when the cloud goes down. Vinyl's going to come back, folks. Let me tell you. In fact, I was out there searching on a way to burn vinyl records, and there's actually there's a record. There's a device coming out that allows you to burn. Well, not really burn. To carve, because it uses a needle, your own records. And this thing is called. Now it's been delayed over a year, so it may never come out. I'm not telling you to pre-order it or anything. I don't know. But they do seem to be working hard at it, and I can't wait for PhonoCut to come out because I'm going to buy one and I'm going to make some records. Yeah, folks, who knows? We may actually sell vinyl recordings of podcasts or something. Wouldn't that be hilarious? That going back to vinyl, you can get vinyl record players on Amazon, like made in China record players that fit in a briefcase for $49. It's incredible, and they have Bluetooth. So if you still have any electronic devices, they will also be able to receive audio. Anyway, so I was out looking at things like where do I have weaknesses in my own prepping, and just in terms of an honest assessment, I realize I don't have good sewing machines, and I need to be able to repair shoes, so I need like a cobbler's sewing machine. And I need to know how to run those. I need some vinyl thread. And then I need a regular sewing machine to repair jeans and fix canvas and, heavy duty materials and sew bags back together, like backpacks and straps and gear, So I needed a heavy duty sewing machine. And so I go out and I realize I know nothing about sewing, which is really, that's crazy because we all wear clothes. We should probably know how to fix them. It seems like a basic skill. I should know this. And by the way, I don't care about the gender stereotypes. They say, well, women are the ones who learn how to sew. Yeah, that's true. But men should learn how to sew too, because everybody needs to know how to fix clothing. So I'm out online and I'm looking at how-to sewing videos, and it's heavily populated by gay men, like fashion sewing videos. And here I am, the health ranger, Mr. Prepper, and I'm learning from all these gay fashion designers now how to sew straps on the bags, and I'm trying to figure out which sewing machine to get. And there's all these different brands, of Singer and Brother and Janome. I think it's a Japanese brand. Pretty cool. So now all in my head is all this sewing terminology, like straight line sewing and lock stitching and hidden hems and all this stuff. And then the more I got into it, I started to get all excited when I found a machine that would sew buttons back on. I found this Singer machine. It's a heavy duty machine, kind of their higher end machine. And it's got a button sewing foot attachment of some kind, however that thing works. And apparently all buttons, I guess, have 4 holes in them. I did not really recognize that before, but checking them out, yeah, they seem to have 4 holes. And so the right machines can just sew buttons back on. And I got all excited, went over to this website, and they have the heavy-duty sewing machines at ridiculous sale prices. So believe it or not, and you might want to get one if they still have them at this price. I got their high-end, heavy-duty Singer sewing machine, whatever. I forgot the model number. Let's see, what is it? I don't remember the model number. Anyway, it's like $300 something on Amazon. They had this thing for $199 over at Singer. So I picked up a $199 sewing machine. I got all super excited about it, and I realized I might be turning gay. I'm doing sewing, I'm making smoothies, and I'm spending all my time in my home nursery planting things. So the, no, I'm joking, of course. I don't care about gender stereotypes, but it is funny that like one day I'll be talking about firearms and ammunition and John Deere tractors, and the next day I'm watching like gay fashion designers teach sewing skills that I think are really important, actually. So I never cared about gender stereotypes. You know, you might say, well, did you play with Barbie dolls when you were a kid? I'm pretty sure we blew them up with fireworks and things. I mean, we melted a few, much to the horror of the girls around. Yeah, we if you count that playing with them, we came up with different ways to destroy them. Does that count? We did that, sure. But I don't care. I don't care about gender stereotypes. We got to learn how to sew. And can you imagine what the girls and boys Barbie playtime would be like today after 2 years of lockdowns turning children into psychopaths with social distancing and masks? You know, we weren't like this, but today, you know, the girls would say, "What happened to our Barbies? All their heads are missing." And the boys would be like, "Well, we rescued them from a FEMA camp." And the girls, "What do you mean you rescued them from a FEMA camp? It's all official." That would be today's kids playing Barbie. Now, I want you to keep watch. Make sure I don't go over the line here, because if I come on the podcast one day and I say something crazy like, "Oh, prepping doesn't matter. What matters is the first impression of your apartment or your I don't know, your kitchen design." Like your if I start going into clothing design and the color of your shoes, then something's gone horribly off the rails. Then you should let me know. So anyway, since I don't know anything about sewing, I actually bought a Singer machine and a Brother machine and a Janome machine, because I don't know which one's the best. So I just bought triple sewing machines. I don't even have a place to put them. But I just figure, yeah, if everything goes bad, it would be a good idea to have some sewing machines. All right. Then, now speaking of firearms, then I shifted gears and I filmed a Prep with Mike video about the Kali key replacement for your bolt carrier group on your AR-15. This is also exciting because it allows you to turn your AR into a single shot rifle, a non-semi-automatic rifle, making it compliant in California under crazy, insane California laws. But be sure to check the laws yourself, because I don't know what the laws say in California. We live in Texas. We don't comply with California's law. You know, like an AR-308 basically, or an LR-308 turns it into a single shot rifle. And it's also good making it really quiet. If you happen to run it suppressed and you just need one shot at a time, it makes it very, very quiet because you don't have the cycling of the bolt carrier group. And then I also filmed a video of some Dawson Knives stuff, because they've been a sponsor before. And by the way, neither one of these companies, you know, asked me or paid me to do these videos. It's just been on my list for a long time, and it felt like I spent so much time watching gay fashion designers on the sewing machines. I had to do something with guns and knives just to balance the weekend out. So I went ahead and filmed this stuff, and I showed a big sword that I got at Dawson Knives. It's a it's a Windstorm custom made, USA made sword, and their new alloy metal called Magna Cut. And they don't have a sale going on, by the way. I'm just saying, I've been trying to get this on video for quite a while. Really impressive blades, hunting knives, camping knives, everyday carry knives, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that's going up on my channel on Brighteon as well. Can't wait to get you that. And then I'm going to be filming next some more videos about the hydroponics. And I'm trying some crazy new experiment where I'm trying to grow a bunch of potatoes in nothing but coconut coir with hydroponic solution with a grow box bin. And I'm not sure if I'm just going to end up creating a giant box of mold or something, but I just figure I want to try it. because I want to grow potatoes and carrots. And what else? Well, peppers. The strawberries are doing great. Those are awesome. But I really want to beef up the food because, well, I have a good sense of what's coming. I guess you could say my weekend was kind of like if you went back to middle school or high school. It was a combination of home economics and shop class. It was like, let's make some food and sew some clothing, and then let's bash some steel into tools and hard implements. Yeah. So that was my weekend. I hope you had an exciting weekend as well. All right. Also, over the weekend, I was on with Brandon Howes at Worldview Report. Now, I did a 45-minute interview with Brandon, and he gave me permission to go ahead and post that on my channel on Brighteon. So it's up there right now. And then Brandon is joining Brighteon Radio when it launches in January. We've got lots and lots of radio hosts that have been asking us to join Brighteon Radio. And the funny thing is that a lot of radio hosts will do 3 or 4 hours of radio a day, which is way more audio than I do. And like Pete Santilli, I think he does 3 hours in the morning, and then he'll do like another 3 or something in the afternoon. I don't know his schedule, but he does a lot of radio. And I don't know how these guys do that. That's a lot of time. But some of these radio hosts are asking us like, hey, can I have 3 hours on Brighteon Radio? And we're like, can't really do that because then the whole network would just be like 4 people. So we're limiting it to an hour so we can have more voices. We want to give an ability for more voices to reach more people. So that's Brighteon. It's launching sometime in January, and it's a whole new network. It's audio only, so it's really great for those of you who have lower bandwidth or who just want to listen and not watch something. And I'm often in that situation. I might be driving a tractor, literally, shredding a field or something, and I want to listen to something, but I can't watch it. And also, I don't want to use all the bandwidth of watching a video. So Brighteon Radio coming out in January. All right, now to get things started here in the comedy section today, but also funny because of our current times, check out this video, which looks like it was filmed from McDonald's in Japan. This video shows people eating at a table at McDonald's, but the table is like it's like an upright bicycle, and you can pedal. You can pedal while you're eating junk food that makes you fat. Does it all equal out? I don't know. You decide. Check out this video. All right. I mean, that's a short video, just 9 seconds. Yeah, while you're eating all that stuff, you can pedal and work off like 1% of what you just ate. The only thing lacking would be just a toilet bowl on the back side of that. You could just eat, exercise, and defecate right there in the restaurant. That would actually make more sense. Then you'd never have to leave your seat, especially if they have Wi-Fi. You could text your friends while it's all happening. What are you doing? I'm having breakfast, I'm exercising, and I'm having a bowel movement right here all at the same time. Love McDonald's. This is awesome. Now, an even better idea would be if you exercise enough, like you generate, they should put a little electric generator on that thing. And if you pedal hard enough, you can actually earn the kilowatt hours of electricity to buy your meal. So the reason that would be so great is because it would give people an astonishing look at how much electricity or how much pedaling it takes to generate any amount of electricity that might be useful. So you might have to pedal 10 hours to get like a bag of fries or something, small fries, or 12 hours of pedaling just to drink a soft drink or something. I think coming up here in a couple of weeks, what do you think that's going to do to the delivery of goods by truck to Canada and also to the United States from Canada? That's going to collapse. So here's a trucker explaining all that. Take a look.
You all know I drive truck, and I cross the border from Canada to the U.S., U.S. to Canada. Everything you have, everything you eat, everything you touch, everything you wear, everything in your house, everything you go to the store for, and odds are almost everything you have at work all showed up on the back of what I drive. Come January, they're throwing a new loop in there. Everybody crossing the border in a truck, they're going to be parking a lot of trucks come next month. You may not think that's going to affect you. 15% of the trucks on the road shut down, can't get across the border, can't haul the product. It's going to affect you more than you realize. 15% is all it's going to take.
All right, so yeah, good words of wisdom there from a Canadian trucker. Thank you, sir, for posting that. It is very important and absolutely true. And you know, I've got a special place in my heart for truckers, especially when it comes to holidays, because the truckers are sacrificing their family time, their vacation time. How many truckers are not going to be home for Christmas? There's a lot of truckers are just going to walk away. They're going to turn off their trucks and say, no, thank you. It's not worth dying just to keep driving this rig. So, hey, when the shelves are empty, just remember to thank a trucker for the times that the shelves weren't empty, right? Yeah, we should be thanking truckers on a national basis. You know, come to think of it, we should be thanking firefighters. We should be thanking police officers, the ones that uphold the law, the ones that aren't corrupt. I know there's some corrupt child raping police in New York that just came out over the weekend, but most cops are good people. Most cops are trying to do a good job, and they're under very difficult circumstances. So we should thank these people for their contributions to society. And when the shelves are empty, it's going to be a big wake-up call, not just in Canada, but also across America. All right, we've got a lot more news to cover here, but first I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine who reached out to me over the weekend, someone I have not heard from for over 3 decades. Friend from my high school, ran track together for 4 years. And when you participate in a sport like that for 4 years, and you know you're classmates with these people, you really get to know each other quite well. And so imagine my shock and surprise when my friend reached out and he got my number through another friend that we keep in touch, and he texted me and said, "Man, I've been listening to all your situation updates." I'm like, no way. How can that be? How would you even know to find my situation updates? It's like, no, I watch all your episodes on Alex Jones and everything. It's like, wow, that's kind of shocking. I thought I was just talking to, recent people. Although I should say, many of you have been following my work for quite a long time, as many as 20 years in some cases. So I appreciate that. But I didn't realize that the reach of this was reaching back to the 1980s and, high school days. And so, but I was really excited about this because now I get to talk to someone that I grew up with. And let me ask you if you have a similar experience. I get to talk to somebody, and we grew up in the same world back then. It wasn't all bifurcated and polarized like the world now. We grew up in a world that was mostly sane. The teachers weren't pedophiles back then. I mean, most of them weren't. They weren't trying to convert you into communism and their LGBT clubs. They weren't demon-possessed lunatics. Granted, we had teachers that we didn't like, but it's just because they made us do a lot of homework and things. That's normal. The first question I'm going to ask them is, hey, the world today is totally nuts, right? Right? I mean, you see it too, right? Because it's important to have some anchoring from time to time. I mean, you and I know that things are nuts. This is crazy. They say math is racist now. When schools are not about academic performance. They've canceled the college entrance exams in California. The only thing required to get into a college in California is to be the right color, or even just to claim you're the right color. Like 2/3 of the white kids claim they're Black and Native American and who knows, all kinds of other Pacific Islanders and whatever else. They've destroyed academia. The liberals have. They've destroyed it. And the news is nothing but lies. The media has become a psychological terrorism operation. trying to scare everybody into all this insanity. They've destroyed the rule of law. They've destroyed due process. They've defunded the police. And then they wonder, why are there flash mob looting operations in the blue cities? It's not me, right? I mean, the world is freaking nuts. So we're going to have that conversation. And I'm pretty sure if he's listening to this podcast, he probably agrees with that assessment. But you think about it, who on the left disagrees with that? What kind of leftists in the world today is thinking to themselves, sorry about that. This is a climate change story here. Globalist corporations they begin seizing farmland in America under eminent domain to halt food production in the name of fighting climate change. And this is a story from humansarefree.com. Talks about billionaires stealing millions of acres of land under climate change. And I've mentioned this before. This is a program where they're seizing farmland in the Midwest, and then they're using this farmland to install giant CO2 sucking machines for terraforming operations. And then they're liquefying the CO2 and they're pumping it underground in a sequestration operation. So in this story, they're talking about Summit Carbon Solutions, SCS, is working on, they're quoting agweek.com. Let me go there. World's largest carbon capture pipeline aims to connect 31 ethanol plants cut across the upper Midwest. So it's called the Carbon Express Project. The goal of sending 12 million tons of CO2 annually to western North Dakota, where it can be stored underground. It would be the largest carbon capture project in the world. Now, this is in addition to the other carbon capture project that we've been covering, which is the what's it called? The Heartland Greenway Navigator thing, where they're pumping the CO2 and putting it under the ground in Illinois. Well, this pipeline, Midwest Carbon Express, is going to pump the CO2 and put it underground in North Dakota, and they've been just seizing farmland. So they just use eminent domain somehow. The local governments just give them permission to go seize people's farms. And so they're just seizing who knows how many thousands of acres of farmland they're going to seize. And the farmers are like, well, what on earth are you doing? We're trying to grow food here. And these people are like, no, you don't get to grow food. Like, don't you know the new thing is to suck the CO2 out of the atmosphere so that food can't grow? And the farmer's like, well, how are you going to feed the world? And that's when, the Dr. Evil comes out of the climate change side. Well, we're not going to feed the world. We're going to starve them to death. And we will seize your farms and we will alter the atmosphere. It's terraforming. This is what's going on. It's actually happening right now. And you realize that if you want to have food, somebody's going to have to shut down those machines at some point. You're going to have to shut them down. If you don't shut down the machines, the atmosphere is going to continue to be altered and there will be no CO2 for the crops. Now, here's the good news, folks. The way you can counter these machines is you can buy gasoline or diesel and you can idle your vehicles in your driveway to replenish the CO2. I'm serious. This is not a joke. You can, trees need carbon dioxide, plants, food crops, they all need carbon dioxide. And they're trying to kill us all by changing the atmosphere. You can contribute by releasing CO2 that had been previously captured in hydrocarbons. And the way you release the CO2 is to burn the hydrocarbons. It also comes from burning wood. So if you have a wood burning stove, crank that sucker up this winter, chuck it full of wood, keep on burning, because you are actually nourishing the planet by doing so. You are releasing CO2 back into the atmosphere where plants can use it, while these lunatics in the Midwest are removing CO2. I mean, this is going to be a race between life and death. CO2 is the miracle molecule of life, And destroying CO2 it's engineered death for all of us because, of course, we depend on plants and so do animals. The entire global ecosystem depends on CO2, and that's what these lunatics are trying to, eliminate. So, wow, it really is happening. All right, next we're going to talk about stable coins. This is the finance sector. There's been some major breaking news over the weekend, huge news about stable coins. Man, stable coins looks like are going down. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I've got a really great interview with John Perez that we recorded on Friday, and that's going to get posted today. So check it out later this afternoon, or maybe it's already there. It's the third interview with John Perez. We talk about stablecoins. We talk about Bitcoin, crypto, gold, silver, financial markets, all kinds of things. Really great interview. Perez just keeps getting better. He's that dude never sleeps. He's always researching information. He must send me like 12 stories a day of things that he found in the media that I never even knew about. In fact, a couple of these stories here are from Perez, but they're bombshell stories. So check out that interview. And also, I've got an interview with Chris Hoare. He is the marketing director of the company called Galileo. That's the two-way satellite messaging emergency alert system that I'm sending out alerts now, roughly every other day right now. And Steve Quayle sends out alerts on it, and you can receive those alerts on your satellite phone. So check out but it's got a funny spelling. Put this out over the weekend, and also then CoinDesk has another story. Let me bring up the Bloomberg story first because this was just bombshell. All right, here it is. From Bloomberg, regulators plot Plan B for stablecoin rules if Congress fails. Now, here's the crux of this story, why this matters. So, you know that conventional financial institutions are getting involved into crypto. So you got a lot of investment houses and so on buying Bitcoin and so on. Well, the central banks and so-called financial overseers, they have begun to realize that, Tether is backed by a giant question mark. You can fill in the blank on what you think is behind that question mark, if anything. And Tether is being used to buy up the vast majority of Bitcoin and other coins. And if there is a run on the Tether bank, if Tether collapses, then there's going to be harm not just to the crypto community, but to the conventional financial sector. In other words, crypto has become so large and so successful, and it has attracted so many conventional investors that now conventional regulators are raising the red alert and saying, whoa, this is a danger to the whole entire system, because the crypto ecosystem has a lot of fraud and is backed by nothing. And the investors in it, people buying Bitcoin and so on, have no idea of the risks of systemic collapse of the cryptos. So, from the story from Bloomberg, quote, a key group of financial overseers said it would take action to rein in stablecoins if Congress fails to pass comprehensive legislation to regulate the tokens, the latest sign that the U.S. government is becoming increasingly alarmed by the threats that cryptocurrencies pose to the financial system, which is kind of what I just described there. It goes on to say that the regulators noted that the purported reserves backing stablecoins aren't reliable, and any losses could spark a panic akin to a bank run. Now, this is Bloomberg saying this, folks. It's not me or John Perez. Last month, another panel, the President's Working Group on Financial Markets, called for Congress to take the lead in setting bank-like rules for coin issuers. Ooh. In other words, they want Tether and the stablecoin companies to be regulated like banks, which means they would have to be audited and show their assets and be subject to audits on a regular basis and things like that, which so far Tether has not done any of that in any meaningful way. Okay, but the Financial Council took it one step further on Friday, indicating it will consider additional steps in the event that comprehensive legislation is not enacted. This could mean directing regulatory agencies to stretch their existing powers to impose safeguards. So they're trying to push Congress to pass a law. If Congress doesn't pass a law, they want regulators to impose a framework of safeguards to make sure that these stablecoins are backed by something real. That's pretty wild. And now this story from Coindesk.com. Check this out. Financial Stability Group warns of stablecoin DeFi risks in annual report. And it's kind of the same thing that I just covered, but a little more detail here. It says that the reserves of stablecoins, this is from the report, may not be subject to rigorous audits, and the quality and quantity of collateral may not, in some cases, correspond to the issuer's claims. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. You mean, what they're basically saying is that Tether probably isn't backed by what they claim to be backed by. That's really what this is saying. But the report goes on, quote, likewise, stablecoins that maintain their value through algorithmic mechanisms are potentially subject to failure due to market pressures, operational failures, and other risks. They go on and say that rug pulls and other scams saw cumulative losses exceed $7.7 billion over the past 12 months, according to Chainalysis. All right, think about that, $7.7 billion in scams. Of course, that pales in comparison to the dollar printing scam of trillions, but it's still some significant amount of money. Risks from market manipulation to criminal enterprise to operational failures could shatter crypto's veneer and, quote, and in an extreme case, undermine confidence in the system as a whole. So then they say that DeFi, which is decentralized finance, leverage only adds fuel to the potential for a, quote, fire sale that could tank one coin before spiraling cross-market. The more that traditional financial institutions plug into these crypto markets, the greater a risk this contagion could, quote, spread to the broader financial system. And then they go on to say, traders' confidence in the stablecoin's store of value usefulness is critical. And there's any number of ways to undermine that confidence. Quote, the mere prospect of an issue might be enough to spark a self-perpetuating run. What they're saying is that people could panic and sell, and then there'd be a run because the stablecoins don't have the assets backing them that they claim to have. And then that this collapse could bleed into the conventional financial markets, and it could cause all kinds of chaos and mayhem in the regular stock market and, other assets in conventional markets. To buy, sell, trade, or hold in the United States, unless the stablecoin issuers conform to banking regulations, which means audits, regular reporting, insurance like FDIC, all kinds of things. And when that day comes, it's going to be the equivalent of America banning crypto, but not directly happening. Just by saying that the stable coins have to be legit, it's going to clobber the market. Now, and that's when John Perez, his target price for Bitcoin, this is his prediction, not mine, but his prediction is that Bitcoin is going to go down to 4,200. And I think Perez might be optimistic. I actually think it could go a lot lower than that. Because what's the value of crypto in a system when you find out that the vast majority of the money printing that propped it up was faked, and it all gets exposed, and then it's like the crash phase of tulip bulb mania, everybody fleeing to get out as quickly as possible and try to cash out. When that day comes, it really gets much closer to zero. And as you recall, the Fifth Circuit had struck it down, and then the federal court system aggregated several dozen lawsuits from across the country into the hands of one district court. There was a lottery taken to determine which court would get that, and it turned out to be the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. the entire membership of the Sixth Circuit is a lot more than 3 judges. I think it's something like 16, if I'm recalling correctly. I don't know the exact number, but it's somewhere around that. And I think it was Saturday morning, Robert Barnes, the attorney that works with InfoWars, he had tweeted out that he believed that the current ruling of the Sixth Court would be overturned by what's called an en banc hearing, which means that it's heard by all the judges, all 16 or whatever that number is. They all hear it, and then they make a decision with a larger number of judges. Now, someone has to request that en banc hearing, and I would imagine that request is being formulated right now by the states that were part of this lawsuit. I mean, there's like 37 states or something. So that might get pushed into an en banc hearing, or it might go to the Supreme Court. Now, not Thomas, of course. Thomas is reliably pro-Constitution, pro-conservative, but which is why the left hated him so much and fabricated all the false claims against him many years ago when he was confirmed to the bench. But we got to watch this carefully, because we could be getting close to a possibility where the Supreme Court of our country could rule that the government owns your body. And if that happens, oh my, I can't even imagine what would be set off by that. But it might be an actual civil war at that point. I don't know. Might be massive chaos, massive, just everybody quitting their jobs all across the country. And you notice that recently a lot of corporations have backed off of the mandates. All right, now next I want to show you something that, this is a photo. When I first saw this, I thought it was the Babylon Bee, and it isn't. And so check out this photo. The headline from Bloomberg is that giant kites that drag cargo ships across the ocean will be trialed next year as the industry attempts to decarbonize. Okay, so seriously, doesn't this look like Babylon Bee? So they're going to have a giant kite to pull the ship. They don't see the problem with this. Have these people never tried to fly a kite, actually? You notice when you're launching a kite, you ever done this as a kid? When you're launching a kite, you run into the wind. In other words, you run the opposite direction of the wind to get that sucker going, right? How are they going to launch these kites? When the boat is going in the direction of the wind, I suppose, because that's the other problem, is the kite can only pull you in the direction that the wind is blowing. I mean, yeah, you can use the ship's rudder for a little bit of, you can go at a slight angle, but you can't go against the wind. You can't go the opposite direction of the wind, or even perpendicular to it, really. And that would be a waste of time, tacking back and forth across the Pacific because the wind's not blowing the right way. And then finally, what happens when the wind dies down? Well, the kite falls into the ocean. Now you have a giant, instead of a 500 square meter kite, which doesn't even sound that big, not big enough to pull one of these boats, but now you have a 500 square meter sponge that's waterlogged with seawater and all the microplastics and seaweed, everything else floating in the ocean. So now somehow you got to haul that kite in without sucking it under the boat and getting it caught in the propeller. That's right, folks. This is going to be a kite propeller catastrophe situation, I can already tell. What a joke. Or also otherwise known as a kite-tastrophe. That's exactly, you knew that was where this was going. I love how all these climate change people, they want to tell us how we're living in the advanced, new, futuristic world of high-tech green energy. And you're like, awesome, what's your propulsion system? Is it dilithium crystals? Is it exotic alien technology? Is it an anti-gravity thrusting component? No, it's just basically a sail. You're like, you mean like a sail from 18th century ships? Like, yeah, just a sail. Oh, wow. That's an amazing time machine back into the past. So basically, what you're telling me is it's green to just not use any modern technology, is what you're saying. And if the winds are blowing from Asia to America, and they're not blowing the other direction, what do you got to do? Just stack up all the ships off the West Coast? Well, guess what? They're doing that already. Why are all the ships here? Well, the wind only blows this direction, it turns out. So how are you going to solve this problem? Well, we're going to build more ships in China, and the California government is going to fine ships for hanging out here. You're like, but the wind isn't blowing the other way. What are you going to do? Well, got to be green. We'll just have ships all in the ocean now. What are they going to do next? Load up the ship with cannonballs and have cannons out the side? And let's just go full, I don't know, what century would that be? 18th century, I guess. Let's just go like the British Navy in the old swashbuckler days with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Why not? Now, it has become politically incorrect to use fossil fuels, apparently, to accomplish anything, including shipping. You're just supposed to wait for the wind to blow. I can just see China ordering half the population to stand on the East Coast, blowing towards America. We gotta export. The GDP is falling. And we will be told that this is science. This is how the climate works. People blowing CO2 towards America. But the IEA has issued a 2021 coal report, and they're saying that global power generation from coal has climbed 9% in 2021 to an all-time high of over 10,000 terawatt hours. This is from Zero Hedge. The rebound comes amid a rash of green policies and stupid political choices, such as decommissioning oil and gas-fired power plants and fossil fuel exploitation projects, ironically resulting in an energy crisis worldwide. And well, of course there's an energy crisis because all your green energy don't work. Because when the sun isn't shining, there's no solar energy. When the wind isn't blowing, the sails don't work and the wind turbines don't work. And turns out when you don't have fossil fuels and hydrocarbons, you can't make fertilizer, folks. You can't make fertilizer. So from the story, Germany's natural gas storage capacity has dropped below 60% for the first time in years, according to Sebastian Bleschke, executive director of the German Association of Underground Gas Storage Operators. Did you know that's an association? There's a whole association of underground gas storage operators. No, I'm not mocking them. That's an important thing, but I didn't know that they had their own association. What do they talk about? You got gas today, Bob? Yep, we're up to 80%. You think we could push more down there? I don't know. The pressure is building. Anyway, it's a whole association, underground gas storage operators. Bleschke told the Handelsblatt newspaper, I love that name, Handelsblatt, there we go, newspaper, that the number is now approximately at 59%, that's, of capacity, calling it, quote, historically low level and a troubling development with the winter yet to come. Oh, and then there's a rumor floating around the internet that Russia has restricted the natural gas pipelines to Germany by 95%, and they're only currently allowing 5% of the natural gas to go through. I imagine there would be alarm in the Association of Underground Gas Storage Operators. They're probably all, panicking. We're running out of gas. We're giving her all she's got, Captain, but we've run out of gas. Well, I have an idea. Why don't you round up all those farting cows, those methane-producing cows, and have them sit on the holes for the underground gas storage? This is recycling, isn't it? Just Have them rip into the underground storage facilities. You solve the cow farting problem. Just pump methane right into the storage facilities, and boom, Germans have heat again. Amazing. It's bovine BTUs for you right there. Solve that problem. Also looks like maybe Angela Merkel could join them and make her own contribution to the German economy there. Help warm up the German people a little bit with her own effort. Yeah, that could be unleashed across Europe as the new globalist fart back better plan to rebuild European society. So just remember, folks, that you got to have fossil fuels. You have to have hydrocarbons in order to make fertilizer. And when you don't have natural gas and you don't have methane, you don't have propane, then, you have no fertilizer. You have no ammonia, which means you have no food next year. And this is happening. This is already kind of baked in. And with the limited amount of fossil fuels that they're getting through the pipelines from Russia, I think the German people are going to have to decide, do you want to freeze or do you want to starve? Because you can either heat your homes or you can have some fertilizer for food, but not both. So kind of pick one or find a happy medium. Freeze a little, starve a little. And this is what the globalists are doing to all of us, by the way. I'm not making fun of Europeans. They're doing this in America, too. Heck, in America, they're building, the giant CO2 sucking machines for terraforming. How crazy is that? They're trying to starve us all, folks. They're trying to freeze us all and starve us all everywhere around the world. It's not limited to Europe. It's just unbelievable what's happening. But Joe Manchin, Senator Manchin, Democrat, has announced in the U.S. he's not going to vote for Build Back Better program because he doesn't like spending $3.5 trillion. He's only willing to spend another $1.5 trillion because that's the fiscal conservative point of view now, is only $1.5 trillion. Let's not melt it down so fast. Let's melt it down more slowly. Let's melt it down gradually. If we're going to cause the fiat currency to fail, let's just, build in a little buffer. All of that. I mean, we're so far beyond the tipping point of, quote, over. America as we know it is over. It's going to crash and burn, and then we're going to have to rebuild it. So make no mistake, there's no stopping the impact with terrain, as we say, in aircraft. And we're going to impact terrain. The U.S. economy is going to do that. Remember what the third one was in that list? It was make sure that nothing makes sense. The whole world is upside down. Good is bad. Bad is good. All the evil people are rewarded. All the good people are persecuted. Nothing makes sense. Math is racist, whatever. There's a male swimmer on the women's swimming team at Penn State. So this is the big picture dynamic of what's happening right now. And the die-off, think about the numbers. Let's say 100,000 a month dying off. Let's say even if they were all Democrats, well, there's more than 100,000 a month of illegals coming across the border, you see. So the replacement is more than enough to cover the die-off so far. Although I think the die-off is going to accelerate. I think it's going to be millions a year, probably starting next year. So that's why they're cranking up the illegals coming in as quickly as possible to the point where it will be millions a year. In fact, in the last year, it technically it already has been millions. But that's the way socialism and Marxism works. It's always the powerful elite protecting themselves, even if it means destroying the masses that put them into power. That's history over and over again, and the same thing's happening right here, right now. So our answer for all of this, those of us who love America and we respect honesty, this must be good. We've been ordered, just start dropping poison into the water supply. Heck, they've been doing it for years. It's called fluoride. They just increase it, increase the fluoride rate. It's incredible. We're living in a country that is dominated by death cult lunatics, and they just can't wait to kill us all. That's right. Those are the precious ones that have to be protected at all costs. And we're living in this crazy, insane, lunatic death cult right now. You're surrounded by people who've been brainwashed and indoctrinated. And part of our job is just bring people back to their senses and awaken them to the real world. Well, he's right about a winter of suffering and death, but it's going to be the vaccinated people. So I guess he's half right on that. Pretty wild. Well, that's my podcast for today. Want to give a shout out to our satellite phone sponsor, SAT123.com. If you need emergency backup communications, that's the place to go. You can get a free sat phone there when you have a 12-month plan for minutes, satellite phone minutes. It's excellent for emergencies. I don't travel without one. Once again, SAT123.com. And also check out my online store, healthrangerstore.com, for preparedness items, superfoods, nutrition that are found in many other mainstream products. So I thank you for your support. I thank you for your prayers and your blessings also. I want to say God bless you. Prayers to each and every one of you. And I'll be back with you tomorrow with whatever crazy updates happen in the next 24 hours. Don't miss my interviews getting posted at Brighteon.com. There's a lot going on my channel today. I think you're going to really enjoy the videos that are coming. Thank you for listening today. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. God bless you. Take care.